Hey guys, Krazyed here, and I'm going to be running this less life recovery and mana regen, cannot leech life, lightning res on monsters with some bonus fire damage map. This is my Mjolnir Gladiator that uses discharge, so this is a particularly nasty map for several reasons. One, it's a red. Two, it's got the less regen on it. Three, no life leech and mana leech. But the combination of those two, just the no leech and the less regen, most builds probably couldn't run it. Then when you pair it with the fact that I am a lightning damage build and it has lightning resistance on it, yeah, that's like a lot of negatives that are against me. So I'm gonna run this map and show you guys what my build can do. I do run Conductivity and Arctic Armor on Blasphemy. Bear with me, it's going to be a little bit slow at first because don't think there's a lot of mobs in this first area, and I don't have much movement speed on my boots. So we're just going to run through, and I'll just kind of talk about my build. I'm not going to have much music in the background, just a little bit of sound from the video, and I'm just going to clear it and kind of give some commentary. So the first thing I'll point out is my flask setup. I do have a instant bleeding flask, or not instant, but like half of it instant flask is my life flask. Then I've got a granite flask that removes chilled effects. I've got an Atziri's Promise to add chaos damage, and under normal circumstances, life and mana leech. And my Victor's flask gives me lightning damage to spells. I think it would be preferred to have the lightning pin flask instead. Under this particular map, but I like the damage of the lightning damage to spells. And then of course I've got a silver flask that wards off shock, and it has extended duration. This is I'm going to try to full clear this red map. So hey, there's Overgrown Ruin replacement map, excellent. But I'm really just going to talk about the build and what's going on. So it being a Mjolnir build, it does have a little bit of problem with single target, but I don't have too bad of a time. Most of the time I can pop in a series of Victor in my silver flask, turn on onslaught, Victors, and extra chaos damage for the most part, and everything goes pretty smooth. I try not to use my Victors too much outside of boss fight situations, or beyond situations where I want to save it for those big fights, or like a rogue exile that's a little bit tough, and really get them down fast. I do have over 6k hit points, and I do have max block after my 8% from the tree kicks in, so I'm pretty good most of the time as far as blocking everything. And then of course I'm a gladiator, so I have spell block. The good thing I like about Gladiator is you also pick up that 50% chance or 25% chance to bleed on hit, I think, and then more damage to bleeding enemies, so that's really nice. I've also got Fortify, and I was running a Curse on Hit setup with my Tempest Shield, but I found it better just to run Tempest Shield and Blind with Blasphemy and the Conductivity in my 4-link. I felt it was more consistent, and just better overall. Now, I do run Discharge. I tried another version of this build first, without a Ramirez Banquet, that was actually a little bit cheaper because you ran a Doger's Ring and a Blasphemy and like a elemental weakness on cast when damage taken, a low level one. So whenever you were hit, you would also cast elemental weakness with the conductivity that was already on your Blasphemy, and you extra tanked the enemy resistances between elemental equilibrium, the elemental weakness, and the conductivity. The resistances were very, very low on all enemies. I know that the curses do get nerfed a little bit on the bosses. They're a little bit weaker on bosses, but I still do enough damage. I just pop all three of my flasks, my onslaught, Victors, and Atziri's, and I do pretty good most of the time. You can see I'm not really having much trouble with most of the rares, or blue packs even. And I'm clearing things pretty quickly, and of course, it being a multi-procking skill, whenever I jump into a large pack, it usually procs off of the the leap slam, and I can keep my 4 power charges up in between packs most of the time. I do need to rework my bandits to get a 5th power charge. This is a standard character, and he is, retwinked and been tinkered with a lot, and most gladiators don't get a power charge, believe it or not. I think he's got an extra endurance charge, which he doesn't use, and since I don't use a Voll's Devotion ever in this build, I tried to go as budget as I could. Even though I'm running a 6-link, I could run it on this build on a 5. All you really need is a Mjolnir and a Ramirez for this version, or if you want to go for the double arc version, you could actually just get away with a Ramirez and a Dodra's amulet. And then, you're at Zeri's Foible or whatever amulet with lots of intelligence that you need to pick up all your stats. So this is a very stat-hungry build. It's kind of hard for duelists to get intelligence. So I have it on my helm. My amulet has, I think, a little over 80 intelligence. But you can also pick it up on gloves or boots. Or you can pick it up from those 2 30-point nodes on the skill tree and just wherever you can get it. I think there's a particularly nasty room coming up on this level. But I've already found my replacement Overgrown ruin map. Oh yeah, look at all that blue, shiny goodness. I think I'm taking 1 or 2 big hits at this point. I do ID the strongbox. It's got a rogue exile in it. Spoiler alert. Freezes you. Contains ID'd items. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that. There you go. And proceed to discharge lag. But I made it out okay. Just that's what this build does best. It stands its ground, I hold right click, and I make it out alive. That was a good display, I think, of what this build can do. I'm also going to face tank Loathe here in a minute when it comes up. I don't know what hit me right there. It's kind of hard to see with so many discharges going off, but I think he just overlapped a lot of those casters. Yeah, here's that room I was talking about. Got a springs map out of it. I think there were some blue packs in there. Oh yeah, here's another good room. Got that superior vulnerability drop. I think it was a low quality one. And with that 100% spell block. I use life gain on hit in my 6-link. Along with blind. I have blind in 3 of my slots. I use it, as I mentioned before, on my Tempest Shield. I also have a 4-link that is blind, fortify, vengeance. That's 20 quality. Very important because vengeance gets 10% chance on 20 quality to proc, so it goes from 30 to 40% proc chance whenever you're hit. Now, that's an interesting to note because when you're hit, you can still block the hit. So even though you're blocking the hit, you can still do an AoE Vengeance that procs the Mjolnir. So it's not Riposte, it's the other one. Vengeance. The Reckoning, that's it. Reckoning, Vengeance, Fortify, and Blind. And then Blind on my 6-link with, of course, faster attacks, multi-strike, greater multiple projectiles, Molten Strike, life gain on hit, and Blind. Now, I do have some evasion gear. My shield, as I'll point out in the guide to come, is an evasion one, and that's because the evasion shields have the highest base block chance, and my shield has a perfectly rolled block chance, 6%. So here's Loathe. He does hit me a couple times. He already hit me once. I think he's going to hit me one more time, and then I've decided at this point I'm going to face tank it. That's without my Granite Flask up, I believe. Got that Conservatory, Arid Lake. I'll run those later. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I should have a build guide up. Have a good night.